Have you ever noticed how your mind seems programmed to expect the worst? You wake up thinking about everything that could go wrong today, you replay embarrassing moments from years ago, and somehow your brain convinces you that one small mistake means you're a complete failure. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not stuck this way forever. What if I told you that optimism isn't just something you're born with or without? What if it's actually a skill you can develop, just like learning to play guitar or mastering a new language? Today, we're diving deep into the science of rewiring your brain for positivity, and I'm going to show you exactly how to break free from those toxic thought patterns that have been holding you back. Your brain is essentially running on outdated software. Think about it like this. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors needed to constantly scan for threats to survive. The pessimistic caveman who assumed every rustling bush contained a predator was more likely to live another day than the optimistic one who thought it was just a friendly rabbit. That negativity bias served our species well when we were dodging saber-toothed tigers, but in today's world, it's become our biggest enemy. Here's what's happening in your head right now. Your brain processes negative information 5 times faster than positive information. When something good happens, your mind barely registers it, but when something goes wrong, it replays that moment over and over like a broken record. This isn't a personal failing. It's literally how your neural pathways have been carved over millions of years of evolution. But here's the exciting part that changes everything. Neuroscientists have discovered something called neuroplasticity, which basically means your brain can be rewired at any age. Those negative thought highways in your mind aren't permanent superhighways. They're more like dirt paths that can be redirected with consistent effort. Let me share something that might shock you. In studies comparing optimists and pessimists, researchers found that optimistic people live an average of 7.5 years longer, have stronger immune systems, earn more money, have better relationships, and report significantly higher levels of life satisfaction. The pessimists in these studies weren't inherently broken people. They just had different thinking patterns that created entirely different life outcomes. So how do we actually rewire these patterns? The first technique is called cognitive reframing, and it's like being your own mental detective. Every time you catch yourself thinking something negative, you pause and ask 3 specific questions. First, is this thought actually true or am I making assumptions? Second, is thinking this way helping me or hurting me? Third, what would I tell my best friend if they were thinking this exact same thing? Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you don't get invited to a party, and your brain immediately jumps to, "Nobody likes me. I'm always left out. I'm such a loser." Now apply the 3 questions. Is it true that nobody likes you because of one party invitation? Probably not. Is thinking this way helping you feel better or take positive action? Definitely not. What would you tell your best friend? You'd probably say something like, "Maybe they forgot. Maybe it was a small gathering. Maybe they assumed you were busy." The second technique is what I call the evidence collector method. Your brain is constantly looking for evidence to confirm what it already believes. If you believe you're unlucky, you'll notice every red light, every spilled coffee, every minor inconvenience. But what if you started actively collecting evidence for a different story? Here's how you do it. Every single day, write down 3 things that went well, no matter how small. Maybe someone smiled at you. Maybe you found a good parking spot. Maybe you learned something new. Your brain will resist this at first because it feels forced or fake, but stick with it. After about 3 weeks, something magical happens. Your brain starts automatically scanning for positive experiences instead of negative ones. The third technique involves changing your internal language, and this one is incredibly powerful. Most people talk to themselves worse than they would talk to their worst enemy. You make a mistake and immediately think, "I'm so stupid. I always mess everything up. I can't do anything right." But what if you started talking to yourself like you would to a good friend, instead of, "I'm terrible at this. Try. I'm still learning this. Instead of, I always fail. Try, this didn't work out the way I hoped. Instead of, I'm not good enough. Try, I'm working on getting better. These aren't just feel-good phrases. They're literally rewiring your neural pathways to process setbacks as temporary challenges rather than permanent character flaws. Now let's talk about the gratitude revolution, because this technique is backed by more research than almost any other positive psychology intervention. But here's the thing, most people do gratitude completely wrong. They just list random things they're grateful for without really feeling anything. That's like doing bicep curls with no weight and expecting to build muscle. Real gratitude practice involves specificity and emotion. Instead of writing, I'm grateful for my family, you might write, I'm grateful for the way my sister called me yesterday just to check in, and how her laugh always makes me feel lighter. Instead of, I'm grateful for my health, try, I'm grateful that my legs carried me up 3 flights of stairs today without getting winded. The fourth technique is called future self-visualization, and it's probably the most underrated tool for building optimism. Most people spend time worrying about everything that could go wrong in the future, but what if you spent that same mental energy visualizing things going right? This isn't about delusional positive thinking where you ignore real challenges. It's about training your brain to see possibilities instead of just problems. Spend 5 minutes each morning imagining your ideal day unfolding. See yourself handling challenges with grace, having positive interactions, making progress on your goals. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one, so you're literally programming yourself for success. Here's something crucial that most people miss. Building optimism isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring real problems. It's about changing your default response to uncertainty. Pessimists assume the worst will happen and then look for evidence to support that assumption. Optimists assume good things are possible and then take action to make them more likely. Let me share the most important shift you can make starting today. Stop asking, what if everything goes wrong? And start asking, what if everything goes right? Stop thinking, this probably won't work, and start thinking, this might be exactly what I need. Stop believing, good things happen to other people, and start believing, good things can happen to me too. The compound effect of these small mental shifts is absolutely incredible. After 30 days of consistent practice, you'll notice that you naturally start looking for solutions instead of dwelling on problems. After 60 days, other people will start commenting on how much more positive and energetic you seem. After 90 days, you'll look back and barely recognize the person who used to expect the worst from every situation. But here's the reality check. Your brain will fight you on this. It will tell you that positive thinking is naive, that you're setting yourself up for disappointment, that pessimism is just being realistic. That voice isn't wisdom. It's just old programming trying to keep you stuck in familiar patterns. Remember, every single day you get to choose which thoughts to feed and which ones to starve. You get to choose whether you'll be the narrator of a tragedy or the hero of an adventure story. You get to choose whether setbacks define you or refine you. Your optimistic life is waiting for you on the other side of these new thinking patterns. It's not about becoming someone different. It's about becoming who you really are underneath all those limiting beliefs. Start with just one technique today, practice it consistently, and watch as your entire world begins to shift in ways you never imagined possible. The person you'll be 6 months from now is counting on the choices you make today.